And the new WBO Welterweight Champion of the World, Mikaela Mayer!
Make sure y'all stay on point with
The Puncher's Point. What is good, y'all? Welcome back to The Puncher's Point. We have a prediction episode for y'all. We got the rematch between Mikaela Mayer versus Sandy Ryan, March 29th. Now, with that being said, if I'm going to mention the rematch, I have to mention what happened last time. Last time they fought, it was a majority decision win for Mikaela Mayer as she became a new welterweight champion. So, with that being said, a lot of people feel like Sandy Ryan won that fight. A lot of people think Mikaela Mayer won that fight. But overall, let's talk about what happened in that fight. Let's talk about both of these fighters' strengths and weaknesses. And we're going to get to the betting odds. And then last but not least, prediction time. I think all of y'all can agree with that plan that we got going on for this episode. So let's hop right into it. We're going to start off with Mikaela Mayer. Mikaela Mayer, 20-2, 5 knockouts. What are the strengths and weaknesses for Mikaela Mayer? Well, for me, I think one of her big strengths is that right hook. She really relies on that right hook. And when that right hook connects, it is a dangerous punch for her to have in her arsenal. The thing about Mikaela Mayer is that right hook, she's always somehow finding accuracy with that right hook. And that right hook has rocked a lot of opponents or clipped a lot of opponents that she has fought. Alicia Baumgartner, I remember she clipped her a couple times with that hook in that fight. Sandy Ryan got clipped with that hook pretty badly. I think there was one point where Sandy Ryan got rocked. And overall, when Mikaela Mayer is just fighting these people, she's able to just find home to that right hook. The other punch that she has that can be very, very sneaky that I think Sandy Ryan needs to watch out for is the left uppercut. That left uppercut, it's very, very sneaky. And the reason why it's so sneaky is because she doesn't throw it a lot, but when she does, it lands home as well. See, Mikaela Mayer, she has a lot of punches in her arsenal. She got a lot of tools in the toolbox. But the one that she barely uses is that left uppercut. And the best way I can describe it, it's like a pitcher with 4 pitches, but they rarely throw that one pitch. But when they do, they're able to get that strikeout with it. That is her strikeout punch right there. Mikaela Mayer, when she lands that sneaky left uppercut, that is her strikeout punch. And I do believe that this left uppercut is going to find home a lot more in the Sandy Ryan fight than it did the first time. The other things about Mikaela Mayer, she's always going to the body. That's why I respect about Mikaela Mayer a lot. She's always going to the body. She's able to fight inside and outside. I like her better on the outside, but she's always able, when she gets to the inside, she's always able to target that body. And she tries to target it as much as possible, which is a skill I can respect because not many people are willing to go to the body like that. The other thing about Mikaela Mayer, she has a very, very consistent jab. When she starts sticking that jab, it's very hard to go around, especially because Mikaela Mayer has a decent reach over a lot of these women that she's been facing. She's not usually the taller fighter. She has a better reach, and I feel like that jab is a good tool for her because she's able to use that jab to kind of set up some things. Especially, she's able to use that jab and set up that right hook. She has great feints. I will say that right now. Mikaela Mayer is very good with feints. She's very good at creating her own openings. And that's a skill that not many boxers in today's day have. See, the thing is with Mikaela Mayer, she's able to force you to drop your guard so she can land one of those hooks, so she can land one of those uppercuts. And Mikaela Mayer, she is a very good pure boxer. She knows how to set up her punches. She knows how to use feints to find the opening. She knows how to find those punches at home. She knows how to basically just land whatever punch she wants to land. And then obviously, with that being said, she has 2 losses. Well, how did she get those 2 losses, and what were the weaknesses that I took away from those losses? So Mikaela Mayer, the weaknesses I had, counter hooks. The thing about Mikaela Mayer, even though she is a pure boxer, that stance is kind of wide, which means when that stance is pretty wide, when she goes in, she'll try to lunge or she'll try to basically land some of these power punches and she'll drop her guard. And that is the perfect time for fighters like Natasha Jonas, Alicia Baumgartner. That's how they were able to beat her by landing those counter hooks because Mikaela Mayer's idea was I'm going to go in, I'm going to pressure, and sometimes she would lunge. Sometimes she would drop her hands at the wrong times, and especially during attacks. She drops her hands during attacks, and when she does that, that's when the hook ends up finding home for a lot of her opponents. The other thing about her, she struggles with fighters who can move. Alicia Baumgartner has great footwork. Alicia Baumgartner was able to move a lot more than her. And during that fight, when she was moving, even Natasha Jonas was doing a very good job of circling around her, not staying in the same place, which forces Mikaela Mayer, instead of her moving and controlling the pace, she had to follow the pace of Alicia Baumgartner or Natasha Jonas. So, with opponents who can move, that is when Mikaela Mayer seems to kind of struggle to find more openings or create more shots because they're constantly moving. So there's a smaller window to set up your punches and land those types of attacks. And then last but not least, sometimes pressure it forces her to retreat. There's been times where I've seen Mikaela Mayer in a dogfight. And for instance, the Sandy Ryan fight, she was in a dogfight. But there's other times where when the pressure gets a little bit too much, like there were a few times in the Alicia Baumgartner fight where she had to retreat. She backed up a little bit, which isn't bad. Obviously, every fighter, deals with an attack and they retreat. But for the most part, it seems like sometimes it happens a little too much. I think in the Alicia Baumgartner fight, it happened a little too much. Now, with that being said, let's start with Sandy Ryan's strengths and her weaknesses as well. Sandy Ryan's strengths, if I had to pick some, I would say she has a nice jab. Sandy Ryan, when she's able to use that jab, she uses it very, very consistently, just like Mikaela Mayer. Her and Mikaela Mayer got very similar skills. And I think that is a testament to them training at the same gym. They probably picked up on the same knowledge that the trainers were giving there before Mikaela Mayer obviously moved out the gym. That's why there's a little bit of, I don't want to use the word bad blood, but there's a little bit of tension between the two. She has a good left hook, a good counter left hook at that. And that is the punch I think Mikaela Mayer is going to have to watch out for, that counter left hook. Because, like I said, Mikaela Mayer has a tendency of lunging and a tendency of dropping her hands. So if Sandy Ryan can land that counter left hook, it's going to be a problem for Mikaela Mayer all night. Very sneaky to the body. See, unlike Mikaela Mayer constantly attacks the body. Sandy Ryan is very sneaky when it comes to the body. She's knocked out an opponent with a body shot. So overall, I do believe that Sandy Ryan has some very underrated body work, and I think that you're going to see more of that on display in this second fight as well. I think both of these fighters are going to target the body a lot. I just have a good feeling about that. She has decent head movement, Sandy Ryan. That's what I will say. That's one thing. That's kind of a skill that a lot of fighters are shying away from now. I noticed that when I do these prediction episodes, not many of these fighters have good head movement. Sandy Ryan's got some good head movement. And the truth is, she has that good head movement when she wants to use it. And we'll get to that a little bit later. And last but not least, she's got good footwork when she wants to use it. That, in my opinion, is what Sandy Ryan's biggest weakness is the footwork and the head movement. Because you might be asking, well, you just mentioned it as her biggest strength, so why would it be her biggest weakness? Because there's fights where she doesn't use it, and I'm gonna get to those weaknesses in a little bit. The counter right hook is another shot that kind of ends up landing home for a lot of opponents against Sandy Ryan, and then she struggles with inside pressure. There's been fights where I've watched Sandy Ryan against that fighter Erica Farias, I think her name was Erica Farias. Erica Farias kind of tended to pressure her a little bit on the inside. Same thing with Mikaela Mayer. Now, going to the head movement and the footwork. So the thing is, with the head movement and the footwork, Sandy Ryan, there's been times where she doesn't use it. And she kind of relies more on being a pressure fighter than being a boxer. I like Sandy Ryan better when she's fighting on the outside, where she's sticking and she's moving. And in the first Erica Farias fight, she ended up losing to Erica Farias. And then the second fight, she ended up getting that win back. And if you look at those two fights, the difference was Sandy Ryan, she used a lot more footwork. She used a lot more head movement. She wasn't a sitting duck. She wasn't trying to pressure her every single minute. She was like, I'm going to outbox this girl, and that's how I'm going to win this fight. And I absolutely respect that. She was able to adjust and adapt. And I do believe that that's what she's going to have to do in this Mikaela Mayer fight. She's going to have to move around a lot more because, like I said, Mikaela Mayer struggles against fighters who can move more than she can. So Sandy Ryan's going to have to do a lot of moving. And I believe in the first fight, she didn't move enough. I believe Mikaela Mayer was the fighter that was moving the most. Now, with Mikaela Mayer, I believe the last fight, what really bothered her was there were times where I think that the pressure was getting a little bit too strong for Mikaela Mayer, where Sandy Ryan was getting to the inside a lot more. And the truth is, in this fight, believe it or not, I like Mikaela Mayer better on the inside because then you can kind of limit the movement of Sandy Ryan. You can kind of get Sandy Ryan to gas out a lot more. The reason why I like Sandy Ryan on the outside for this fight is because, like I said, the movement will be a problem for Mikaela Mayer if Sandy Ryan can move a lot more than Mikaela Mayer. If Sandy Ryan can use the head movement a lot more in this fight in this second time around. So I would really like to see Sandy Ryan box on the outside, and I would really like to see Mikaela Mayer start kind of sticking with her punches on the inside. That's what I would like to see from both of these fighters. And the other keys that I had for Mikaela Mayer, be firm with your punches. Make sure every single punch sticks. Okay. Make sure that when you throw a punch, you're throwing to connect and you're throwing to hurt. Attack the body early. I do believe that is a big key. If you keep on constantly attacking the body and getting Sandy Ryan to gas out, I do believe that Mikaela Mayer can kind of start moving around a lot more in those later rounds and even gassing out Sandy Ryan more along with the body pressure. And then last but not least, focus on the counter hooks. I do believe that when the time is right, you can hit Sandy Ryan with a counter right hook and maybe even a left uppercut as well. But I would honestly rely on the counter hooks. And then as far as Sandy Ryan, move around more. Like I said, I would like to see her move around more. Counter hooks take advantage of when Mikaela Mayer lunges and she drops her hands. There's going to be those times when Mikaela Mayer lunges and she drops her hands. You know how you're going to get her to lunge a lot more? Moving around more. And I do think that's what Sandy Ryan is going to have to do. I've been stressing it a lot in this episode. And I do believe that she's going to have to maybe not move around continuously for the whole fight. Obviously, we've seen what happened with Cordell Booker and how that affected him. But what I will say is instead of kind of going into the inside and making this a brawl, you don't have to make it a brawl. Just whenever she's trying to set up her punches, slip, move out the way, and force Mikaela Mayer to reset. And I do believe that if you get her to lunge, if you get her to drop her hands, which she will if you stick with that game plan, it's going to be a lot easier for you to land those counter hooks. So with that being said, here's the most interesting part of this episode, the betting odds. And the reason why I say that is because you couldn't find a more razor thin betting odds for any fight. This fight is bare even. Despite Mikaela Mayer winning the first fight, this is as even as you can get. I believe on DraftKings, it's like 105, 105 or something crazy like that. Like it is razor thin tight. And actually, I'll read you the betting odds right now. So if we go to the betting odds for this fight, Sandy Ryan and Mikaela Mayer, it depends what site you go on. But both of these fighters, they have very, very slim odds. They have very, very slim odds. When it comes to Bet 365, Sandy Ryan is the minus 105 favorite. When it comes to the MGM Grand, Mikaela Mayer is at plus 100. And then you go to DraftKings, they are dead even. So technically, there is no favorite and there is no underdog for this fight. The most likely outcome, according to DraftKings, would be Mikaela Mayer winning by decision. The least likely would be Mikaela Mayer winning by knockout. So with that being said, what do I have? Who do I have winning this fight? When I go and I look at this fight, you got to take into account that Sandy Ryan, she did fight good and it wasn't her best night and it was a split decision. I'm not going to say Mikaela Mayer fought her best, but she fought a lot better than Sandy Ryan that night and it was still a majority decision, excuse me. So, with that being said, in this second time around, I got Sandy Ryan winning by split decision. I think Sandy Ryan's going to go in there. She's going to win by split decision. I think you're going to see a lot more footwork from Sandy Ryan. But overall, I do think Mikaela Mayer is going to have her moments where she's getting into the inside, she's pressuring, and she will kind of sway some rounds. But when it all comes down to it, when they give the decision, I do believe that they're going to give a split decision victory for Sandy Ryan. And she will regain her titles back, forcing a trilogy between these two. And overall, these two are good fighters, and when they fought the first time, it was an exciting fight. So I'm excited to see this fight, and I'm doing a prediction episode on it, even though I didn't do an announcement episode on it, because I do believe this is an important fight for boxing, especially for women's boxing. So, with the additional information of this episode that I have not given, it is going to be Mikaela Mayer versus Sandy Ryan 2. This fight will be on March 29th. This fight will be for the WBO Welterweight Championship. Obviously, the women's welterweight division, it's kind of heating up right now. There's a lot of great fighters in that division. There's a lot of good fighters in that division, I should say. They're not on the pinnacle of like the great fighters that are still fighting, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, Clarissa Shields, all of them. But there's a lot of good fighters in this division. I believe this division has the most depth. And overall, these two are going to be fighting for the WBO Welterweight Championship. And it is going to be taking place in Las Vegas. So, with that being said, Make sure y'all definitely tune into that fight. Obviously, I'm gonna be coming back once the post fight comes to fruition. And overall, I just can't wait to watch this fight. The first fight was good. I can't wait to see the second one. Hopefully, we have a clear winner. Hopefully, there's no robbery, nothing like that. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Sandy Ryan on a split decision. I think they're gonna force it to a trilogy fight. So with that being said, it's time for us to log out. Make sure y'all subscribe to The Puncher's Point. Make sure y'all follow us on all the podcast platforms, all the social medias. You know, I'm not going to list them all. They're all going to be in my bio. The links will be in the bio as well. And just overall, make sure y'all continue to tune into us. We got some great things going on. I have personally announced the season finale for season 4, and it will be after the Naoya Inoue fight on May 4th. And the reason why is because they have the Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, the refight card. Then they got Canelo Alvarez the next day, and then they got Inoue right after Canelo. So right after the Inoue fight will be the season finale for season 4, and then we're gonna kick it right back to season 5. But overall, make sure y'all continue to tune into the Puncher's Point, tune into the prediction episodes, tune into the post-fight episodes, tune into the announcement episodes, the news, all of it. Just make sure the Reddits. We're gonna have pretty soon, because since there's a little bit of a gap between March and the next fight in April, we're going to be having a Reddit episode as well. Make sure y'all tune in. Hopefully, we get some more interviews, special guests, all that type of stuff. I'm going to plan all that out. Last but not least, y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.